views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mission Bronx, the show dedicated to showing you some of the incredible work being done by nonprofits in the Bronx. Mission Bronx is a collaboration between BronxNet and the Center for Bronx Nonprofits at Hostos Community College. And I'm your host, Eileen Newman. So far, we've gone over what exactly a nonprofit is. We've showcased a wonderful youth organization doing work near the Bronx River, and we've looked into several housing developments throughout the borough. On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on 3 organizations that are putting great effort into empowering our women of the Bronx. Hello, everyone. Our first guest is from a very well-known organization that's geared toward empowering individuals to make independent and informed decisions. Please welcome the Director of Youth Programs at Planned Parenthood, Luis Marchena. So, Luis, would you tell us a little bit about what you do at Planned Parenthood? Because I think, sure, just as a little intro, I think people have one image of what Planned Parenthood does, which is very important work, but I think there's a lot of important work, and so...
Absolutely. Planned Parenthood is definitely more than what you think. So I am the Director of Youth Programs at Planned Parenthood in the Education and Training Department. So it's actually a full department with over 60 staff. We train about 26,000 New Yorkers a year in reproductive and sexual health. We provide workshops and education for not only young people, but for parents and also professionals. So we have a cadre of different curricula that we've written, and also some evidence-based programs that we provide in the community. And we do that free for our young people and for our parents. And then we have a training institute at a minimal charge for professionals.
So how do you find people who are interested in the programs? Do you work with schools? Do you work with community-based organizations?
We work with everyone. Many times we provide our information to the schools and community-based organizations in our immediate areas. We are Planned Parenthood of New York City, so we have health centers in all 5 boroughs. We also have education offices at 3 of those boroughs. So we're a partner with the Department of Education. We're a vendor for them, so we provide workshops for middle and high school young people. We also provide workshops for community-based organizations. So, I mean, some of our programs have been around since 1996, if not earlier. We're a staple in the community. People trust us to come with accurate, age-appropriate, comprehensive sex education. So a lot of people just come and look for us. I mean, we had a great opportunity at the Queens Public Library. We had a bunch of librarians that were actually getting questions from young people, and they didn't know how to answer reproductive health questions. So they actually seeked us out and said, we need training. So we were able to go into the Queens Public Library and train over 100 librarians through our capacity building program so that we could go in and make them askable adults. So it's not just about giving the information to young people, but it's also about giving the information to the community so that when we leave, if we're not there, young people have someone else to go to.
Right. So, and they then can obviously feel more comfortable, which I'm sure they could feel a little bit
and they
uncomfortable.
they can also instill the values of the organization. So we give them sexuality guiding principles, but every organization has their own values and their own comfort level and what and how they want to provide that information. So it's really a partnership between us and an organization who wants capacity building on how to move this forward.
So what about in schools? I remember the way we learned about anything even vaguely connected to your body was boys were in one room, girls were in another room, and the mysteries were revealed. Well, I'm sure it's different now.
You know, honestly, in New York City public schools, although there's a mandate on sex education through a health ed mandate for middle school and high schoolers, it really varies from school to school. So young people don't get the same reproductive health or even health education in schools. When we come in, we do provide, you know, we can provide a multitude of curriculum, but they all have the same messaging, and it's all about giving age-appropriate, comprehensive, medically accurate sex education to young people. We don't divide young people. I think we have to be really cautious when we define girls and we define boys in today's day and age, because
Yes, you're right.
we have trans
You're right.
we have trans young men and young women. We have gender nonconforming young people.
Right.
We have young people who have different gender expressions. So we're really careful about segregating or separating anyone
Right.
out. So the curriculums
That's
that we provide are all inclusive. We don't provide a curriculum and then say, here's an LGBTQ supplement to the
Right.
curriculum. We actually have that instilled throughout. So it doesn't matter who's sitting in the room. They're going to all get information that's relevant and that pertains to them. And we think that's really important, because when you ostracize a young person, it's really hard to kind of pull them back into the conversation.
Right. And so I understand what your goals are in terms of health, but in terms of how you want young women to grow up thinking about themselves as not just sexual people, but empowered people, what do you look at in terms of when you're planning your work?
We definitely want anyone that we come into contact with to really feel empowered that they're making informed decisions. So it's really important for a young person, however they identify, to really have the information to say, okay, these are my options, and this is the right option for me. This is me being ready, or this is me not being ready, and how to negotiate that. And in an age where violence is so prevalent, young people really also need to know about consent and what that means. And so that's a huge conversation that we're having now, because young people really need to understand is consent is more than just yes or no. Consent is body language. Consent is multiple things. And so we really want young people to see themselves as a whole person and be able to make informed decisions for themselves.
And when you do that work, you do it primarily in groups, and what I would assume, and what do you find about the conversation with the way people in the group talk to each other and the comfort level?
I think it depends on the group. I think if you are coming into a community-based organization where young people kind of have a bond and they're there all the time and it's an after-school program, young people tend to be a little bit more open. But it really it's never the same group twice. And you can go to the same group and have a completely different reaction from them in a different session. So young people are surprising. That's what's great about them, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's fun to work with people who you suddenly see becoming more revealing.
Absolutely.
And I always find it so interesting on the subway to watch kids and listen to kids, and also to see, we know it's not in all cases, but in some cases how the divisions don't seem as great as they might have.
Absolutely.
And there's a level, at least on the subway that I ride, it seems to be a level of acceptance that's very charming to see.
Yeah.
And so what about you? How did you get into this?
My background is actually social work. I have a master's in social work, and I was actually working for a children's mental health organization for quite some time. And I decided that I needed a change. And so I applied to this position, and I've been with Planned Parenthood for over 11 years. And I actually didn't have a background in reproductive health, but I had a passion for young people. I'm the director of youth programs, so it gave me an opportunity to really continue my work with young people. And the position has changed over the years, so I'm doing a lot more of these, I'm having a lot more of these conversations where I'm more in the public eye, but the work still holds true, and I still have the opportunity to really go out there and see young people in the schools and community-based organizations and be part of events, and that's really what the work is about and the passion is about. So for me, it wasn't so much about how I was working with young people. For me, it was that I was working with young people in something that was important for them.
And what's the age range?
So we provide workshops for middle school and high school, and some young college age.
Okay.
And then again, we also have workshops for parents and workshops for professionals.
So in terms of the young people, what change have you seen?
I think young people have a lot more access to technology. So the information they want is now, they want it fast, they want it yesterday. And with that, there's no filter. So young people are online. Right. They don't always have the knowledge and skills to really decipher what's fact, what's not. So we've seen a lot of these fictitious STIs pop up, and we've had to do a lot of correcting of myths in the classroom, because they're or they see things that they've seen on porn. And a lot of those things are just not not physically possible, actually. So we've had to have a lot of those conversations, and it's really the access of information that young people have has grown vastly in the last 11 years. So we're doing a lot more technology work. We have, our peer educators. We have a group of teen advocates who are actually peer educators. They're paid to provide workshops in the community to other teens. They actually host a Facebook page and an Instagram page that provides information for young people that's comical and factual, that breaks down myths, that invites them to our centers and invites them to ask questions.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
wish
for
we
having me.
had more time to talk about this. But
the next show.
But it's been, right, exactly. I'm particularly interested in the whole piece about the change in the technology, and actually our next segment is going to be about a technology organization that is different, but it's using technology in workforce development.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I feel that we're going from the how do you work with yourself as a person and learn as a person, and then where do you put that person in terms of work, but it's all about empowering.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So
well, thank you so much
again.
for having me.
You're welcome. So up next, we're going to be sitting down with a founder and a fellow student of a high impact program dedicated to making sure girls are attending college. Before we do, we visited with an organization hoping to bridge the gap between the number of men and women in the tech field.
Persepolis is a nonprofit, and we've been based in the South Bronx for over 20 years. We provide IT training and job placement to individuals who are trying to break into the IT field. We were started 20 years ago, really as a social enterprise to get donated computers from corporations, refurbish them, and then get them into the hands of community centers, schools, churches, faith-based organizations. And so in the process of recycling computers, we needed a local workforce that could help us do that work. And so we did that for a while, and we noticed that our workers were getting hired by the private sector to help fix computers and do PC repair work. And so the light bulb went off for us. We decided that would be a great job training program to not only do recycling, but to also offer a training opportunity to individuals who wanted to break into the IT field.
In my case, it was a 15-week course. And so you're going to school full-time, 9 to 5. Most individuals aren't working during that time frame because they have to dedicate themselves fully to school. So either you're working a part-time job in the evening, but you're pretty much trying to take up coursework that would normally take 2.5 years to learn in a 15-week period.
While we're based in the South Bronx and really excited about our Bronx roots, we are a citywide organization. Nearly 50% of our students come from the Bronx, but the balance come from all of the other boroughs. And so our demographic, really, we're looking for individuals who don't typically have a college degree. About 80% of our students have high school and maybe some college, but they don't have a college degree. But they are really have always been passionate about IT. The other piece of what we do is we've been focused for the past 5 years on getting more women into technology. And so since 2010, we've offered both single-sex classes and then certainly positions in our co-ed classes for women to join the IT field. And right now, about 1/3 of our students are women, 2/3 are men, and we are trying really hard to kind of get up to 50-50. We're really excited about our Women in Tech program. It's important. I think what we see is not a lot of our women have exposure to kind of formal IT training, whether in high school or in college. They don't know a lot of women who are technologists, and so it's really important for us that we're creating lots of individuals out there who are successful females in technology so that we can just grow the field. Our goal is by 2020 to be training 1,000 women in technology a year. The folks who come through our training are really those men and women who are the person that their friends and neighbors call upon when their iPhone breaks, when their computer breaks, when their network is down. And so all of our students really have a real passion for technology and often have taught themselves how to fix things, but they don't have the formal training, which is really, I think, what you need to break into the field and get a full-time job.
So prior to this, what I knew was end user I knew how to use the computer, and I was always intrigued by when our technicians would come into the office, and I'd pick their brain on printers. I'd pick their brain on IP addresses. And when I got here, I got to learn everything from the back end. I learned, our A+ certification was just knowing how to break open the computer, being able to put it together, being able to build one. I never knew how to do that before. The good thing is I had a couple of classmates that were born doing this kind of thing, so we kind of were able to barter. I was able to share interviewing skills and previous experience, and they were able to share with me computer skills. And so I learned that. I learned networking, and I learned real-life experiences aside from the textbooks.
So what I love about our Women in Tech program at Perscolas is that when I meet the women, often our female students, they're coming in from maybe office work, or they work in retail, they work in food service, they work in customer service. So they're amazing women, but they just haven't had the opportunity to really get into the technology field. They're, the folks that their neighbors and their friends and their family always call upon to fix their iPhones. And these are phenomenal women. And so one of our graduates, Joanne Sosa, it really embodies that. And so she's someone who worked, transitioned from working in an office to working at kind of very large financial institutions and Fortune 500 companies. And I think that experience is going to give Joanne and other graduates like Joanne just such a leg up by having those experiences on their resume so that they can grow in the technology field and really advance and have a great career.
Actually, I did a couple of jobs in the corporate world and just got tired of getting laid off all the time. And so I did this as a personal challenge, as a New Year's resolution, and a friend of mine had completed the course, and I saw that she was employed, gainfully employed, great salary, and I took it up as my own little dare, if you will, and I was blown away. I was blown away by the professionalism. I was really drawn by the mentorship aspect and the numbers. The rates of students that graduated and were employed were above anything I've seen in any other program. So I knew I had to get in.
We think at Perscolas, focusing on women in technology is so important. The statistics are that 10 to 12% of technologists are women, and so often for our students, they're our female students, they're the only woman who's on the help desk. They're the only kind of network engineer, the only female software tester, and so it's really important that we change the state of affairs, that we really focus on getting more women so that every help desk or every kind of network data center has lots of women on the desk. It's not just kind of the one and only. And so we think that that is critically important, and not just at the point at which folks are getting into jobs, but also kind of at the point at which folks are getting educated. So we're really excited about a lot of the opportunities that are happening in New York City, whether it's computer science for all that will start in kind of middle school and high school, and certainly the New York City Council has a Young Women's Initiative that's very much focused on just opportunity and how we can give young women in our city the access to great careers. And so I'm really excited that I'm co-chairing the Workforce Development, Economic Development Working Group of the Young Women's Initiative that the City Council and the New York Women's Foundation and other organizations are sponsoring. We think that exposure and exploring kind of careers has to happen much sooner at the middle school and high school level, so that women have the confidence, the interest, the exposure, the exploration to really understand what it means to have a career in technology.
Thank you to Angie and Joanne for sitting down with us and giving us some insights into Perscolas. If you'd like to find out about their Women in Tech program, you can visit them at perscolas.org. Also, the Young Women's Initiative that Angie mentioned was launched back in early October by Councilwoman Melissa Mark Viverito. It's the first city initiative in the nation designed to invest specifically in the futures of young women of color. If you'd like to get more information on that, you can visit the New York City Council's website at council.nyc.org. Here with me now, we have Andrina Rosa, the founder and executive director of Project Dreamer, a program that offers professional and self-development workshops to increase college matriculation for girls of low socioeconomic backgrounds, as well as Moraima Ahrens, who is participating in the program herself. Thank you.
Well,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
coming
having
here.
us. Thank you for having us.
This is very exciting. So I have disclosed to you, but I will disclose to the audience that when I first heard about your program, I thought, how could she have done this and have this program up and running already? And as I said to you, I'm the one who says to people, oh, it's so much work. You have to really think about opening a nonprofit. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got this idea and how you made it happen.
Sure. I am a recent law school graduate. I graduated from law school just last year, and I conducted survey on how mental health affects law students, and specifically in the legal profession and in school. I conducted a survey and found out that out of 100 people who participated, 20-something of them contemplated of committing suicide as early as in middle school. And I'm thinking to myself, law students are roughly in their 20s, 30s. You know, we have other law students who are in their 40s. And the fact that they internalize a lot of these emotions up until this point, something, then triggered in me that said something has to happen. And something has to happen now, as soon as, in middle school. We can't turn back the clock, but moving forward, of course, we can definitely provide our students with services to help them deal with these emotions in a more positive way, because there's absolutely no reason for these girls or for people in general to hold and internalize these emotions. And I'm from the Bronx. I grew up just 2 blocks away from the Castle Hill projects. And as a young Latina, I was able to see some of the things that, that happens around my block. And I don't want this for the girls. I absolutely don't want this for the girls. And I started a nonprofit where we look at different areas that are affecting their academic performance and even their developmental skills when they get older. So for example, we focus on wellness, body image, injury prevention. We have bullying, peer pressure, things of that nature. Then we also focus on mindfulness, which is, the way we define it is being aware of your emotions as you're currently going through them. And we also focus on business. And this is something that we focus on when the girls get to high school, and being able to develop, for example, financial literacy and things of that nature.
So I have to, you made a little leap. I'm just going to go back a little bit. So you mentioned, well, I started this nonprofit, but so from the idea of what you wanted to do, how long did it take you to actually get this and to even conceptualize the organization? Because what you talk about is understanding the need and wanting to help, but a lot of people are not able to give that a mission to make how did you do that?
So it took a year of planning, and so when I graduated back in May of 2014, I started thinking about the issues that I think were more pressing in the Bronx community. And then from there, I was doing extensive research about issues that are germane to these young students. And from there, I was able to compile a list of these different types of social issues. For example, with body image, with bullying and peer pressure, and things of suicide. Latinos actually have a higher rate of suicide rate than other people, students of color. And it wasn't until this year I became a little bit more proactive. And so I emailed every single middle school in the Bronx. I emailed the assistant principal and the principal. I CC'd both of them. And I also told them a little bit about what I'm starting the initiative. And essentially, it's a pilot program. I then went to the school. The first 2 schools that actually responded to me, and there were 4. So the first 2 schools that responded to me, I went there, I sat down with them, and I showed them a portfolio, and they were on board, immediately on board. And then from there, the assistant principal to one of our school partners and the guidance counselor to a second school partner are the ones that sponsored and recruited the girls for us.
That's amazing. And that you could do it with, it's a real lesson to everybody that you could do it with cold calls.
Absolutely.
So what do you do? What do you do there?
So we do a little bit of everything. So now
I'm Moraima, and I come, and what happens?
Okay.
But you can both, it'd be great if both of you could talk about that.
So in the beginning, we were actually meeting at the site of the school. And so we would go, for example, to Lola Rodriguez de Dio School, which is where she goes to school. And then our other school partner is Bronx Park Middle School. And then actually we were recently partnered with New York City Parks. And then they provided us a community space at the Owen Dolan Center in the Bronx. And so now I was able to merge the school and the group of girls together. So now we meet on Saturdays. We meet on Saturdays twice a month from 10 to 12:30. And then the third Saturday is dedicated to mandatory community service. So just last month, we went to Soundview Park and we helped clean the park. And then some of the workshops that we've been doing right now is building a relationship. Again, some of the girls, even though they go to the same school, a lot of them have cliques. And so I'm trying to, expose them and break that, and so that they can get to know other girls as well. Because this is, as we get older, the importance of networking is extremely important.
Right.
And so we did workshops on sisterhood. We did workshops on being able to, like, for example, this Saturday, we're going to meet with the girls individually, have a conference with them, and go over their report card. And so we, no, they did exceptionally well. Well, you know, in this right. And so we're going to meet with them one-on-one, and we're going to have this contract, so to speak, where it's going to be, okay, these are the grades that, you know, we can improve on. How are we going to improve on these grades? And then we'll also have personal goals, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the numbers. And so we're breaking the personal goals into wellness and mindfulness goals that we also, that the girls would like to fulfill.
Okay. So how did you first find out about this? You're in school and someone comes up and says, hey, there's this program on Saturday.
I was actually walking through the hallways when the assistant principal, she came to me and told me about the group, that she recommended me for it. And you know, she gave me the permission slip, and I filled it out, did the essay that was included with it, and like I was really interested in it, because like something I would like to participate in. And then I gave it in the next day, and then, you know, I'm here.
So what did you expect?
I expected like as a support, which I get already from the mentors, and they motivate me to stay in school and to do good in school.
How long have you been in the program?
I've been in for like 3 months.
Okay.
3 months.
So do you see any changes, or do you have new thoughts about things? Or?
I do see a change. I'm more, like I said, they support me, like, to stay in school. And like I don't know, they make me be better in class. So I see like an impact in how I do work in school.
Okay.
Because I like to make other people proud.
And yourself too. You should be proud of you.
Yeah, making other people proud was what's making me proud.
And to make you proud too. So, what do you think? Tell me about where you want to be in 10 years, or what your dreams are for the future. It's a dream organization. So, what are your dreams?
I want to be done with college, and I want to become an actress, and to go to auditions and audition for movies. And also, I would like to become a writer as well for young adult novels. Yeah.
Those are big dreams.
Really proud
So
of
now
her.
I'm going to come back to you and see what your goals are for this organization.
When I was growing up, I was a shy girl. I didn't really like public speaking.
And look what we made you do.
Right.
Two of you.
And so I want the girls to know that they can do anything, they can do everything, and that they don't have to do it alone. I'm going to be here. So, and I want the girls to be able to have options and be able to know what their potential is, and then what their interests are, and what their passions are, and being able to fulfill their dreams.
And how many people do you have? How many people are the you? Or we that you talk about?
So in terms of members, we are the 15 girls.
Okay.
And then we have 6 big sisters, which assume the role of a mentor.
Okay.
And every girl is paired with a mentor. And then we have this thing where it's brown bag lunch. And so once a month, the big sisters, they take the girls out just to get to know them on a personal level. I have an assistant director who's been helping, and then I also have a COO who has been helping as well.
That's really, it's a wonderful,
Right.
wonderful example of how you really can
Right.
achieve the dream of starting a nonprofit that
with the
that
help of
is
college
doing
students.
I also want to tell the audience that just because of space, we weren't able to include all the girls, but we're going to be taking pictures of them and putting them up on the BronxNet website. So this has been really inspirational and wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for in today's show. Thank you for tuning in. And if you missed any of our past episodes, you can view them at BronxNet.org under Bronx Specials. See you next time for another episode of Mission Bronx.